Hi, I'm Becky.
And I'm Lindsay, and we're here to talk all things BHVA, general life, arts, kids,
An insight
and insights.
into life skills, creativity, and business skills as well. All those things that you need to succeed in life, and all those things that we've mucked up along the way as well.
I think just having open, honest conversations to just normalise some of the processes, some of the things we've gone through, so that they're not such taboo. I think people look on from the outside sometimes and can think everyone's got everything together. Nearly swore on the first one, then that wouldn't have been good, would it? Everything's got everything together, and it's not always. It's never the case. And if people tell you that, they're telling porkies.
Yeah.
Everybody has to go through different processes, so we're here to kind of dispel some of those myths, open up the conversation, and hopefully inspire some of you to give some things a go.
So we're going to need your help to begin with. So this is very much an insights conversation that we're doing, but we also need a title for it. So if you can think of anything, then let us know. Pop it in the comments, ping us an email, whatever the subscribe button is. I don't know how this works. This is all learning for us. Click on that, get in contact with us, and let us know.
Awesome. So should we crack on with today?
Yeah, let's crack on with today.
Okay, so the topic for today we've decided is the good old phrase, we've all heard it lots and lots, is shoulda, woulda, coulda. I think we all spend far too much time going, I should have done this, or I could have done this, or I would have done this if. And so we're here to kind of dispel some of the myths about that, but also talk about some of those things that we wish we should have, would have, could have done.
Yeah.
And then how to kind of reframe it and get on. So, Becky.
Shoulda, woulda, couldas. Oh, there's so much shoulda, woulda, couldas in life. Both professionally. I should have stayed at uni and completed it, because I'd be much further on than where I am now, because I dropped out in my second year, just personal circumstances. I walked away from the arts because of it. That's probably my big shoulda. My coulda, I could have made a lot more decisions. I could have been a lot more assertive growing up.
Mine's the same.
And I think my woulda, if things had been different, that's a tricky one actually. I'll come on to the woulda later, because of lots of the learning that I've gone through in my life, and actually I'm in a place where my mindset, I'm starting to forget about the wouldas. I think that's the one to come back to later on in this conversation.
So my shouldas, I think in the arts as well, I should have taken time to concentrate on me rather than comparing myself to others a lot, and I should have realised my own strengths and abilities, and that would have enabled me to not go through a lot of the things that then I went through, and I think we can all empathise with that. We take a lot of time looking out at other people and comparing ourselves to that, and it's so detrimental and stifles you so much, which then kind of leads to my coulda, which then through bad habits I formed because I was always trying to live up to other expectations. I could have found my voice earlier. Well, I don't know, could I have done? And this is the hindsight thing. This is where the argument comes in, because yes, I could have found my voice earlier, but actually would I have found my voice in the way that I've done it now? No, because actually life's experiences lead us to that time when we're at the place to find our voice. But yeah, I could have spoke up more for, just could have spoke up more, and could have trusted my gut more, because I think, I think could have trusted my gut more along the way.
I think that's for both of us actually on that.
Could have trusted our gut.
And we tell our students massively to trust their gut when it's part of that learning process, isn't it? So when you go through learning, you have these 4 stages in learning, don't you? And actually there comes a point in that learning. Actually, shall I talk about those 4 stages?
Yeah,
quickly?
go for it. Yeah.
So you have this unconscious incompetence when you're bad at something, but you don't actually realise you're bad, or you've not been told what you can do to improve. Then you have this conscious incompetence where you're aware of what you've got to do, but you haven't quite figured out how to do the thing that you need to do to make it better. Then you have this conscious competence where you're aware of what you've got to do to improve, and you have to consciously think about doing it in order to make that improvement. And then you have that unconscious competence where that's the place where I think you do need to trust your gut, because you've got those skills in place to then go with it. And actually, you've got to let that subconscious, you've got to let those neural pathways just go ahead and do it, because your brain knows what it's got to do, and you don't need to tell it how to do it. We get in the way of our brains so much. And actually, I think a lot of our shoulda, coulda, wouldas come through not listening to those neural pathways.
Not listening to those instinctive signs that are built in, and those skills that actually we develop as a baby. Like when we're learning to walk, we don't overthink it. You see something in front of you and you find a way to go get it. You find something to grab hold of. You just have that sheer determination to go get what it is, and you learn that new skill every day, and you've got no external influences saying you should do it this way, or you should do it that way.
It's something I use in my lessons loads. So I always say, when you're learning to sing and you're learning to use your voice, especially when it comes to certain coordinations of the voice, the muscles within the voice, it is those steps. You see babies trying to take those first steps, and they take it and they wobble, then they bump back down on their bum. But they don't give up. They keep learning, because it's a coordination skill. And I think, we forget about that in life. We forget about those skills.
We forget about it, and we start to look at others. We start to go, oh, well, that's the measure of success. We've got to do it that way for it to look good. Look good in whose eyes? What we perceive as good, what we perceive as being successful. And so then we start to limit ourselves, because we go, oh, I could have done it better because I could have done it like so-and-so, or I could have done it like them. And we lose that instinct of that infant going, I'm just going to do it my way. I'm going to do it how I am, because that's how I'm going to succeed. Because when we all start to walk or talk or eat or do whatever, we have to do it our way. It's a survival mode to evolve and kick in.
And again, because we're both mums, we've gone through this and watched our kids, and I can guarantee when you're in those mums worlds and you've got all those initial milestones, you've got all the, it sounds awful, but you have this little inner competition between all these other mums.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like, my child did this at such and such months, my child did this. But it doesn't matter, because any health professional will tell you your child will get there when they're ready to. And again, we forget that as we go through life. And
it's the same. And this is where, when we come to these like couldas, it's kind of realising that. I mean, I started school and I'm an August baby. And it was always told to me, oh, she's really young, she's an August baby. And I was at school with a lot of people who were November babies. And it was this weird thing that it was just immediately kind of said, oh, you're going to find it a bit trickier because you've come to school younger. And then, well, how do they know so much more than me? And then all of a sudden I got intimidated by their knowledge. So then you doubt your ability because you're intimidated by somebody else's knowledge. But actually, if somebody had taken the time to say to me, they've had 12 months extra in the world. And they've had 12 months extra to learn that. They've been exposed to this. They've had 12 months extra at home before coming to school. Yeah, so I didn't need to compete with them. I just need to do my own journey and not worry that they knew that information before. But what it did to me in school was go, oh, I don't know that. They know it. I don't know it. How am I going to do it? So you're constantly feeling like you're on the trying to catch up, or because you're measuring yourself against others. So yeah, I could have stopped measuring myself against others, and I think that would have helped my progress further. But in doing that, if I hadn't have done and gone through the things that we went through over the years, I wouldn't be able to help people now in the way that I can, because I understand it, because you've been there and grown from it.
But the couldas, I think we need to stop thinking about the couldas and the shouldas, because it's that comparing, and no two people are alike.
No. And then I think also, like, things happen in life. I mean, we're not turning this into our personal story today, but things have happened in both of our pasts that we have sat there in very traumatic situations and gone, oh my God, I could have done that. I should have done that. I should have been there. If I'd have done that, that would have stopped that happening. No, it wouldn't. And that took me a really long time, and my children a really long time, to realise that actually our actions wouldn't have stopped anything else happening. It may have elongated things, or it may have changed it, or it may have changed when, but it doesn't necessarily change the outcome because other people are involved. You can't control everything. So as soon as you go into that whole, well, I should have done this, I could have done that, I would have done this if I'd have been in a better place, you're setting yourself up for just constant disappointment rather than being able to sit in the moment and go, yeah, I did that.
Yeah. And
that was pretty cool.
And that, not just pretty cool, it's like pretty impressive, and look at the strength that that's actually given me.
Yeah.
And the strength that I actually had back then.
Yeah.
To get through that.
And actually, my lad turned around to me the other day. Now, for a 13-year-old boy, this is quite an insightful thing because we all know at 13 they don't really want to talk about stuff. And he turned around and he said to me, didn't quite turn out how you wanted it to, did it, Mum? And I went, no. And he turned around at 13 and said, this was sitting in the loft hatch as well, by the way, like having a proper heart-to-heart at the top of a loft ladder. He said, yeah, we're all better off for it, though. Now, how insightful is that at 13 to not go, oh, this shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened, but to go, actually, we're better off because we've learned and grown. And I think that's kind of why we wanted to do this today. It's that it's not about living in the shoulda, woulda, coulda all the time because it stifles you, it puts a barrier, it stops. It's about realising that, you know what, through those sometimes difficulties or challenges, you can find these little moments where you can really flourish and empower yourself and get strong and step forward. So, and
actually it gives you a whole wealth of experience that is unique to you. So actually going forwards, it's not about shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's about, well, I'm going to seize this moment, and actually I'm going to do this, because if I don't do it, then I can have the permission to have the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but I've only got myself to blame because I haven't tried.
Yeah, and it's also owning your part in it. So I could have done that differently. Yeah, we all could have done. That's an absolutely acceptable way to use the coulda. Yeah. Like, I could have done that differently.
And that's brilliant, as long as you look at it from a positive reflection.
And so
we appreciate what we've done and appreciate what you've achieved, but also appreciate what it is that you can learn from it to improve it next time.
So we often find ourselves working with really vulnerable people that have had lots and lots of external things put onto them, so they haven't had choices. So they often find it very easy to start pushing that blame out to other people and others, whether it be the system, whether it be social services, whether it be family members, whether it be the events that have happened. It's very easy to push blame as to, well, I'm never going to be able to do that because this has happened and this shouldn't have happened to me, and they could have handled this better, they should have done this, they should have done that. And yes, that is the case in some situations, but it's about actually looking at, right, well, how can you change the cycle? How can you take ownership of your future? And we talk to our students about this all the time, whether we're mentoring and coaching them to self-regulate, whether we are preparing them for the world of the West End, whatever it is, it's about taking that ownership of your next step and your next actions. And it is changing that language from a negative, they shoulda, this should have, whatever,
to I can, I shall, and I will.
Yeah. And it's that choice, and it's suddenly choosing, rather than feeling like these things have been put on you or they're out of your control. It's making that choice to take that step forward.
And you're going to make mistakes as you do it.
Oh, massive.
But unless you make those mistakes, you're not going to learn from them. And it's that learning process from it all. You can go shoulda, coulda, woulda loads, but without trying, how do you know what you are able to achieve? So when it comes an opportunity to try something new, then you should grasp it. It may not go according to plan, but you've taken something away from it, and you can go, okay, well, that didn't work. And then you can analyse why that didn't work. And then you can go, okay, so if I try it this way, then that might work. And it may do. Or you try different routes. Again, we're back to that baby and that learning to crawl, that learning to walk. They go, that hasn't worked, so I'm going to try a different way. Oh, I'm going to try this. Or I'm just going to stand. I'm just going to wait and see what happens and get used to this sensation.
Trying the foods. Like a baby literally grabs anything to eat, and they're like, oh, and you see their faces go when it's sour or whatever. And they do that to then help them make the choices of what they like. So you have to try things to actually find out what it is that you want to do. So instead of getting to retirement age and looking back on life and people say, what would you tell your 16-year-old self? oh, I should have tried this, I should have tried that. But do you know what? At 80, 90, you might think you should have tried that because you should have tried to learn the piano, or you should have done this dancing. But you might have tried it and not liked it, and that's totally okay
That's
as well.
completely fine.
So it's taking out that element of what ifs. I should have this, I should.
Yeah.
It's taking out that what ifs, because do you know what? You might try it and hate it. You might try it and love it, and either is absolutely fine.
And do you know what? We're going back to that. Everyone's individual.
Yeah.
No one is going to like exactly the same things as someone else. And oh God, it would be a boring life if everyone was the same.
And I think a lot of our shoulda, woulda, couldas come from not the expectation, what's portrayed as a successful career path, a successful story in education, a successful life. You know, we meet people that go, oh, I should have concentrated at school more. And so we've all been there. We've all not done it. They're some of the best business people and most successful people around, because actually when they're ready and they're in that place, there isn't a time of any measure. It can happen whenever you're ready. So when we put the shoulda, woulda, coulda in, we're saying we're putting our measures up against somebody else. We're all trying to map our success on the same journey.
We've got a prime example for that.
Yeah.
So we were at a conference recently. Steve Bartlett was one of the speakers, and his complete opening to his whole conversation was what happened to him at school.
Yeah.
And his mum literally was like, well, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to go off and do this because you're not going up to school. You're not doing this. You're getting yourself into a load of trouble. And he quit school and he walked out. He's one of the most successful people, but he found the right thing for him. And that right thing for you may not be that norm. It may well be, and if it is, embrace it. But he's not got a shoulda, coulda, woulda anymore. He probably did at the time. In fact, I'm pretty sure he admitted that he did. But he talked about, we've got a post coming out soon. It's that lean in. That was Steve Bartlett came out. He said, lean into it. So when something new comes along, don't be scared of it. That's where the shoulda, woulda, couldas are going to come from. Lean into that new thing.
Yeah, don't feel like you've got to jump in and be perfect at it straight away. Don't feel like you've got to know everything about it. We meet people, don't we, all the time that go, oh, I don't know about that, so they shut off.
Yeah.
So lean in, start that conversation, start that.
I've been having conversations with other coaches and other business professionals in the last 24 hours, and it's all about making sure that you're open to learning, open to realising that actually things can change and you can learn new things, and you can turn around and go, well, what I have learned in the past is now been proven wrong. But it's that curiosity that's going to let you get that way, and actually we've got to keep and remain curious throughout our whole lives.
Yeah, and I think we're also living in a world that's very different to when even we were at school, and I think it's negative and it's exciting at the same time. So I remember even when I first started teaching, however many years ago, there was very much clear career paths and clear directions for things, and so that created this framework and that everyone measures themselves against of being successful, because, well, you either do this pathway or this pathway or this pathway. Whereas now, like, there's jobs now that exist that weren't there 6 years ago, like 20 years ago, half the jobs. We couldn't have even dreamt of some of the jobs that exist now that people are making a good living out of. And that's exciting, because that means there isn't just one way to do stuff anymore.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to do it. So we're measuring ourselves against old criteria,
which is
not applicable. It's not relevant to today's world. The only thing that's really important is that whatever you do, you go about it in the right way for you and the right way for the people around you, and that you just, are considerate and kind and thoughtful and care and give it a go and try.
And you know what? If you make a mistake, put your hand up. Just own it.
Just own it.
That was me. Really sorry. Because if you do that, I can guarantee the support and the help you will get by doing that will be immense.
And then you won't have, oh, I should have done it like this, I could have done it like that. It's not. It's just having these open conversations. And it's having the open conversations across generations, across genders, across race, across everything, so that it's not, there's no barriers there. It is just an open conversation for growth. I
think that's, don't shoulda, woulda, coulda. Go, I shall, I will, and I can.
Yeah.
And it is that old saying, isn't it? If at first you don't succeed,
yeah,
grab a gin and try again.
And do it your way, and know the reasons why you're doing it. You're not doing it because other people are saying you should do it. You're doing it because you want to do it and you're passionate about it. Then you'll keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to that. And we'll see you at the next one.